There we go.
Hey!
Yeah.
Do not ride that on this plaza, especially on the grass.
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is that? No, I mean, you just I would like an explanation. I just don't take screaming at.
That'd get your attention.
I understand that.
Scooters are not allowed. Bicycles are not allowed.
This is a mobility device. I'm handicapped.
Okay, then do it off plaza.
This is actually a mobility area. There's actually handicap access right there. I mean, I'm 43 years old, dude. I'm a disabled American veteran.
Oh yeah?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Great. So are you trying to infringe on my rights to enjoy itself?
Do that, draw fire.
Cool. Can I have your card, please?
Don't have one.
Can I have his card? Any of you guys, his boss? Can I get his supervisor, please? Thank you. I mean, I don't want to be a dick, but I mean, that right there is unacceptable. I mean, the secondary talk, I'm trying to be respectful to him. I don't take kindly to being screamed at. I mean, he could have came over and talked to me. I'm 43 years old. I'm a grown man, you can tell. You know, there's a few things. I'm a disabled American veteran. From my understanding, there was an access over there to the grass for wheelchairs and mobility devices. This is what I use for my mobility device. If he didn't like the way that I was riding in there or the speed that I was doing it in, he could have addressed that. I would have been more than happy to adjust it accordingly. But he told me to still remove myself after I explained to him that I do have a disability and I use this as a mobility device. That is a direct violation of my ADA rights. Okay, so I would like him to be informed of ADA rights, first of all. That's a super important thing. Americans with Disability Act.
I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
I've been doing this a very long time.
I understand.
That piece of equipment is not allowed, nor are wheelchairs.
This is a registered mobility device.
Okay, that's fine.
Understand?
Let me finish.
Okay.
It's not allowed on the grass. Wheelchairs aren't allowed on the grass. None of that is allowed on the grass.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a sign posted anywhere?
There's the
Okay.
ordinances, the county ordinances are right there.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'll be happy to look at it. If it does exclude mobility devices, I would understand. I'd beg the question why.
Because
I mean, is this not a common ground that people utilize for the public?
it's courthouse grounds is what it is.
It's public. I mean, the court's owned by the public, by the people. We pay and we fund it,
Yep.
right? So this would be considered a common access area, and anybody should be able to utilize it freely and accordingly. I'm utilizing it by my disability. I do have a disability. I can't walk long distances. I can't. That's why I utilize this device.
Here's the problem. The equipment, to include wheelchairs, the rascals, the guys that have the big wheeled, whatever the hell they are, that are mobility devices, tear up the grass.
I understand that.
So they don't allow them on the grass. You still have.
Is there not exclusions to that? Because I've been up here very specifically when they're doing events in the grass, and I do see that there's wheelchairs and mobility devices and bicycles all throughout the grass. So what we're saying is there's a deflection between what you guys want to use it for and what people can use it for, right? There's a distinction, and that's a problem, right? Because you guys can't dictate it's okay one day and it's not the next, right? This is a public. Well, I understand that, but somebody is. Somebody that's in charge of the grounds is, right? And that's a clear discrepancy, and the law doesn't allow that, right? It has to be consistent. Consistency is the letter of the law, right? That's why the law is written. So without consistency, that ordinance can't stand. Right, but regardless of that, right, let's talk about, I'm trying to, I wander off, I'm sorry, but the biggest concern is his behavior, right? He's a professional, he's paid, he has a firearm, right? If he can't conduct himself and carry himself in a professional manner when confronted by a basic ADA question, right, he probably shouldn't be in possession of a firearm. I mean, he hasn't exhibited the wherewithal to be a person that can de-escalate a situation, or that should be responsible for protecting people, right? So I would beg, and I'm going to ask for a formal complaint letter or a formal note, because I do want to file a formal complaint against him. Okay. I would like to do that, if that's possible.
Yep, you can go online to the Yavapai County.
Is there not a form that I can fill out here at the courthouse?
On the 4th floor.
On the 4th floor?
Yep.
Okay. I'll come back and do that, but is this being taken care of by you gentlemen? Is this
discussion with him.
I mean, I would like it to be formally written out so that I can follow up with it. Is that something that's going to happen, or is this going to be a verbal?
It's going to be verbal.
Okay, so
I did want to address a couple of issues.
Yes, sir.
And we hear this a lot.
yes, sir.
This is a public space. You can't stop us from using the public space, right? Because you're a citizen of the
Well, no, I'm not saying you can't stop me from using it. I mean,
Okay.
that's
You made it.
no.
You sort of said
I understand. Yeah.
We should use it in the way that matter, and obviously you can't have a bonfire.
Well, correct. Yeah,
can't-
there's definitely within reason, right? This isn't
Let me
intent.
finish, and then I
Okay.
heard what you said. Let me finish. And
Absolutely.
then, there are access ramps. I know you've seen them. I've seen them. Those
Yeah.
access ramps are for the lawnmowers, for the
Understand.
for the grass.
Okay.
They're never meant to be used by any kind of motorized vehicle.
Okay.
I'm not sure why people are here with wheelchairs in the grass. Generally, in the 6 years I've been here, it's never been allowed.
Okay.
As far as ADA is concerned, I'm not sure if ADA covers the use of grass park areas where
It does. So
where
it's
So if I can stop, because I've been doing this for a long time.
Understand.
I'm not new at this game. I was a law enforcement prior to this.
okay.
So the ADA only requires that accommodations are made. Reasonable accommodations.
Reasonable accommodations, just like anybody
Reasonable
else.
is one of those words that is up to whoever wrote those stupid.
Correct, and that's where the consistency
ordinances.
comes into
'Cause let
place.
me tell you, I don't give a shit.
I understand.
You want to do cookies in here, you want to pop wheelies in there, I don't
Understand.
care. It doesn't affect me.
Correct.
But I am told by my boss that I need to enforce these.
Understand, and I'm a big person because look, my dad's a disabled vet, I'm a disabled vet, my brothers are both disabled veterans, 100% disabled, right? So we've all served our country, and the goal is to make sure that people that don't have a voice are protected and their voice is heard, right? Like, I understand, like, this for me, big fucking deal. Like, I'll go about my day, but his interaction,
it was just yelling.
yeah, well, it wasn't his yelling. It was after the fact, and I can show you the recording. He was very disrespectful to me, right? In his entire demeanor, his behavior, his attitude, and oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm just gonna pull out.
Oh yeah, let me move out of the way. Sorry.
Thank you. I didn't want to.
Sorry, I got you guys all standing in the sun too. I'm so sorry. We can move to the shade. I'm sorry. But no, so for me, it was more about a guy with stripes on his shirt that indicates some sort of leadership role, unable to perform basic corrections, right? And I mean, I identified myself as a disabled veteran. He goes, so what? Like, right? Like, I mean, it's just his overall demeanor is just, it lacks professionalism.
He's a retired first sergeant.
Yeah.
Himself in the army.
Oh, I understand. I mean,
MP, so he might have a different attitude.
no, and I understand that, but I mean, in this position, right? And even if he was a military police officer, and in my duty as a military police officer, if I had one of my subordinates acting that way, I would take them aside, and I would probably remand them and probably bring them back a grade, just so they would understand that they are in a leadership role. They are an example for everybody that's involved, right? And this de-escalation is absolutely the key when you're carrying a firearm, right? Escalation is absolutely never an option. De-escalation is always the number one priority, as far as I'm concerned. And you were a prior police officer. I'm pretty sure that you were taught that as well. De-escalation, de-escalation, de-escalation. You know, escalation of force, right? And screaming at me and then coming over, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. I'm a disabled vet. I didn't know. I'm just trying to use this space like everybody else is. I mean, there's people laying in the grass, walking through the grass, right? From my understanding, I'm just trying to utilize the grass like everybody else is, right? And when I've been here for special events and things of that nature, there's carts and big, huge, canopies and all this stuff and all this foot traffic and all of that stuff, right? So that's where the consistency of the letter of the law comes into place.
That comes down to the county
Special
allowing
use, right?
Special use.
Correct. And
People
so,
pay for that. Yeah.
correct. So special use can't trump Americans with disabilities.
Special use with special. In other words, they allow them to use it, but there are still caveats to that. You
Correct.
can't just
Correct,
because
and so
you're
that's
a
where my questions come into place, right? Because I have been here when it's free use, and the only reason I'm asking is because I know a lot of people that are completely incognite and have mobility scooters and chairs, and they would love to sit under the shade in the grass. You know what I mean? And for them not to be able to use the space as everybody else is a little discerning, right? And that's my biggest concern. Not necessarily for me, big fucking deal. I don't ride my scooter in the grass, but you know what I mean?
Something that you would probably want to take up with the county.
Yeah.
We're state.
I understand.
County, and that's city.
Yeah, it's all
So-
like three zones of fucked up. Yeah.
Three different.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I'll call the county and just ask and be like, hey, dude, I was over here by the courthouse and just trying to utilize my mobility scooter, and I was informed that you guys have an ordinance that prevents people from doing so. And I'll just go from that route. But my biggest concern is being prior law enforcement. My brother was prior Marine Corps law enforcement. My dad was a federal law enforcement officer for like 35 years, right? So I do know a little bit of law enforcement, and just his overall behavior was just not professional. And that's why I noticed shiny from across the way. That's why I asked if you guys were.
So yeah, there's a complaint process. There's
Okay.
also, I give you my business card there.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if we have a form upstairs. I don't.
And I'll submit the video footage as well, just so you guys aren't in the black of exactly what happened, because I do feel like he was a little too much, you know, and that's all. And look, he's probably the nicest fucking guy in the world. I totally get it. And he probably deals with dickhead little kids all day long, right? And I get it. Trust me, I've been there. And it just
They're not dickhead little kids. They're just kids being kids.
yeah, but there's dickhead kids too. Trust me. I own cafes, dude. One of them was right next to a skate park. Some of those kids are just
so you
dickheads.
love it,
Yeah.
What exactly did he say that was?
It was just his.
causing issues?
It was just
When
his
he yelled at
escalation.
you, that got my attention, but I know he was trying to catch yours.
Yeah, and the yelling wasn't an
Because
issue.
You flew by one time, and we were going to talk to you then.
Yeah.
And you were going too fast. We couldn't catch up to you.
Yeah.
So I know he was trying to get your attention.
Yeah, and that's okay. And the yelling wasn't necessarily the issue. It's when he got to me, right? I stopped.
Yep.
You know, I'm talking to him. I'm like, hey, dude, look, I got a disability. And he's like, and it's just whole, fuck you, I don't care. ADA doesn't
I
fucking
mean, I
matter.
wanna know
Well,
what he
that's
said,
that's
'cause I'm
the.
sure he didn't say
it was
fuck you,
it was his demeanor, right?
Okay.
So it's his body language, it's his inflection in his voice,
Okay.
it's his rolling of his eyes, it's the shoulder rug of his head. You know, it's all of those body language things that we're all taught to identify. He was, what's the word I'm looking for? He was indifferent about anything that I had to say. It was about what he was trying to tell me, and nothing that I said mattered to him. And that's not the way that these interactions should take place, right? He got my attention. I'm just trying to explain myself. He should listen, right? And once I've said my piece and he says, look, I understand that and I apologize, but unfortunately, this is just an area that we can't do that in. And that's a great way to handle that, right? And I go, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll pull it off the grass right now and I'll walk over here and I'll talk to you guys. But, you know, when I say, hey, you know, I have a disability, I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and he does, so what? Well, no, not so what, dude. You don't know me. You don't know what the fuck I've been through. You don't know why I'm 100% disabled. You don't know what I went through in war, right? You don't know shit about me, and to roll your fucking eyes at me like that, and you don't know what my family's been through, like the sacrifices my family's made for the freedoms of this country, and the disabilities I suffer because of the freedoms that I've protected in this country, right? Like, I just don't understand why somebody would have, especially a prior military guy, would have such a nonchalant fuck you attitude about it, right? And I'll submit this, and before you guys do anything, I'll submit it to you guys, and then you guys do your approach from there. How's that sound? Does that sound fair?
Yep.
Yeah? Because I don't want there to be anything left to the wind, right? My word versus his word. You'll just see what I see, and then you guys can do the appropriate from there. And I do think both of you guys, between the two of you, that you guys will do the right thing, and I don't think it needs to be escalated beyond that.
All right.
So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'll walk it off the property too.
All right, I
See?
appreciate
it.
Oh, no, I'm a total badass, dude. Look, I'm not a dick, and I know it seemed like that initially, but that's not my intent. You know, my intent is, again, you know, I'm a freedom fighter for the most part, man. You know, you just put your hand up and you say all that stupid shit and cry in front of all the other grown men at boot camp, and you do all this, you know, and you're like, oh, the Constitution of the United States and like my life, and fuck, for some reason, man, it just never left me.
Yeah.
Like, never day of my life. It's just the dumbest thing. And some guys,
What unit did you say?
I was in the Navy.
What was your MOS?
So I was damage controlman. So what I did is I was a flight line rescue. So when guys would come in and crash or have an emergency landing,
Okay.
I was the guy that ran in.
Yeah.
Well, no, fire wing.
Oh, fire wing.
Actually, believe it or not. So because our rate is a fire rate, and but we work with the Airedale guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a really cool rate. I liked it. A lot of guys think we were rescue guys. That's like such a far priority down on the list. When you go into a crashed plane, it's information is what you're gathering. The pilots and all those people they're supposed to be out already.
Yeah.
So you're running in there to grab black boxes and all this other technology before they can jettison the plane.
Into the ocean. Right?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. I mean, you're just a guy in a potato. I mean, if you go in with the plane into the ocean with the plane, big fucking deal. They don't. I mean, you got exact this amount of time to get in and out. It's crazy.
Well, thank you for your service.
No, thank you guys, man. I appreciate you guys, and I do appreciate what you guys do. Like, despite me being a little fucking dickhead. I know I'm a dick, dude. I mean, listen, you can tell him too. Like, I know I'm a dick. I can be hard to deal with. Like, I totally fucking understand. But I think there's a difference between being a dick and not getting paid, and you know, when you get in that role. So,
Gotcha.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's the ordinance, and these guys are gonna feel real stupid when this gets to the fucking internet. There's a dude sitting over there at the bike in the grass. There is a bunch of kids sitting over there in the grass, a dog taking a shit over there in the grass. All right. So just so we're clear, doesn't say mobility scooters, specifically doesn't say anything about the grass. So we got a big problem, guys. Says no skating, no skateboarding, or bicycling. Doesn't say anything about mobility devices. Doesn't say anything about the grass. So yeah, got a big problem, guys.